Welcome to the Past in Pictures channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one.
Aloha Airlines Flight 243 on April 28, 1988, suffered a large opening in the upper part of the aircraft because of advanced corrosion in the fuselage. The episode resulted in the loss of one crew member, but the pilot managed to make a safe landing, leading to important changes in inspection protocols. Vasily Arkhipov played a crucial role on October 27, 1962, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, when he refused to authorize the launch of a strategic weapon against a United States ship, preventing a serious international escalation. His decision kept the episode from becoming an even larger global crisis during the Cold War. Carrie Fisher, known as the iconic Princess Leia from the Star Wars franchise, had a defining period in 1983 that strengthened her influence on film and 1980s pop culture. Her performance changed female representation in science fiction films, inspiring generations and discussions about women in leading roles. The ship Endurance became trapped in Antarctic ice during the 1915 expedition led by Ernest Shackleton, who was trying to cross the continent. This episode highlighted human endurance under extreme conditions and the importance of leadership in overcoming major challenges, leaving a legacy in polar exploration. Reinhard Heydrich, one of the leading members of the German government during World War II, was targeted by a resistance action in 1942 that damaged his car. He initially survived the episode, but died days later from health complications, making the event a landmark of opposition to German occupation. In Shiraz, Iran, around 1890, punishment by cannon was an extreme method applied to condemn people or political opponents, reflecting the harsh practices of the Persian justice system of the time. This measure showed the strong control exercised by power and the severity of authorities toward political opposition. Robert Wadlow, the tallest man in history, stood about 8 feet 11 inches tall because of a rare pituitary condition that caused continuous growth. He lived during the 1930s and 1940s, symbolizing the challenges of gigantism and drawing both medical and public interest. After the fall of the Berlin Wall on November 9, 1989, West Germans brought food and drinks to East German soldiers at the border in a symbolic gesture of reconciliation. This moment marked the end of Germany's division and the beginning of reunification, changing the political landscape of post-Cold War Europe. The construction of the Golden Gate Bridge, begun in 1933 and completed in 1937, was a milestone in world engineering because of its length and innovative design. The project connected San Francisco to Marin County, supporting economic development and symbolizing the modernization of the United States during the Great Depression. The social unrest in Detroit in 1967 represented a decisive moment in the search for equality in the United States, marking one of the largest urban mobilizations of the decade. Rooted in difficult relations between authorities and the African American community, it exposed racial inequalities and encouraged reforms in urban policy. German soldiers faced harsh conditions in flooded trenches in 1943, during one of the most difficult periods of World War II. The scene shows the challenges of the Eastern Front, where intense operations and rough terrain affected troop morale and endurance, revealing the hardships faced at that time. The construction of the Empire State Building, completed in 1931, symbolized the ambition and innovation of the industrial era in the United States, becoming the tallest skyscraper in the world at the time. During the Great Depression, it created thousands of jobs and deeply changed New York's skyline, influencing cities around the world. German soldiers playing around in 1939 reflect the beginning of World War II, when the conflict still created expectations and tensions without full awareness of its consequences. The image captures a sense of normal life before the escalation of fighting, symbolizing youth drawn into a war that would change the 20th century. John F. Kennedy served as a naval lieutenant in the South Pacific during World War II, standing out in dangerous missions against Japan. This military experience shaped his leadership and strongly influenced his presidency and United States foreign policy during the Cold War. Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek raised a toast in August 1945 to celebrate Japan's surrender, marking the temporary union between communists and nationalists against a common enemy. This was their last meeting before the civil conflict intensified and shaped China, revealing the fragility of the alliance. Cameron Diaz emerged in the 1990s as a rising Hollywood star, representing a new generation of actresses who combined charisma and talent during a time when commercial cinema became widely popular. Her presence in iconic films expanded opportunities for women in leading roles and influenced the decade's pop culture. During the Hungarian Revolution of 1956, young opponents mobilized against Soviet forces, in an attempt to gain greater freedom from the imposed regime. The use of improvised resources became a symbol of resistance. Despite the strong response from authorities, the movement exposed the weakness of Soviet control during the Cold War. The photograph of a young weaver in the 1930s reveals the demanding routine faced by families during the Great Depression, a time when everyone contributed productive work to help supplement income. The record symbolizes the value of homecraft work and family participation in keeping the household going. In 1985, a meeting at the White House brought together First Lady Nancy Reagan, Princess Diana, and actors such as Tom Selleck and Clint Eastwood in a relaxed moment that symbolized cultural diplomacy between the United States and the United Kingdom. The occasion showed the importance of personal ties during the Cold War. Stanley Kubrick directed The Shining in 1980, a milestone in horror cinema for its atmosphere and innovative technique. With Shelley Duvall in a leading role, the intense production explores the human mind and isolation, influencing generations and establishing Kubrick as a master of psychological suspense. In 1979, Fela Kuti's home in Nigeria became the scene of strong tensions with authorities because of the musician's opposition to the government in power. Known for using music to criticize social inequality, his residence became a symbol of cultural resistance, deeply marking the relationship between art and politics in the country. John Lennon, a member of the Beatles, took part in sessions for the iconic album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band on March 29, 1967. He helped create a musical milestone that changed rock through sound innovation and artistic concept, influencing generations and establishing Abbey Road as a global cultural symbol. Bill Clinton and Hillary Rodham were students at Yale University in 1972, a time of intense movements against the Vietnam War and advances in civil rights. Their time together formed an alliance that would deeply influence American politics in the following decades. Elizabeth Taylor stood out early in film, becoming an icon in the 1940s and 1950s. This 1948 photo by Virgil Apgar shows the actress at the height of her early career. Her talent and beauty created a new standard for Hollywood stars, influencing culture and the role of women in entertainment. Amelia Earhart gained attention when she became the first woman to cross the Atlantic Ocean as a passenger in 1928, aboard the biplane Friendship in Newfoundland. Her achievement opened the way for women in aviation, influencing generations and expanding rights in a field dominated by men. Katherine Stinson was one of the first American women aviators and a pioneer of aviation in the early 20th century. Around 1910, she helped popularize flight by piloting biplanes at a time when aviation was new and dominated by men. Her courage inspired future generations and expanded women's role in aviation. In the 1940s, a pioneering test at Westinghouse Electric Corporation in Pittsburgh demonstrated the effectiveness of high-voltage protection systems by applying a large electrical charge to a car with a protected occupant inside. This experiment was crucial for advances in electrical safety and insulation techniques. The medical teaching amphitheater at Bellevue Hospital in New York in 1900 marked the progress of modern medicine by combining education and clinical practice. This model trained professionals through direct observation of medical procedures, supporting the development of structured teaching that influenced hospitals around the world. A London firefighter in 1908 wears a smoke helmet, a pioneering piece of equipment that protected against toxic gases and fires and reflected essential technological advances of the time. This innovation made firefighting safer and more efficient, contributing to the development of modern emergency services. Before the computer era, Scotland Yard's records room in England in the 1920s was essential for the manual organization of police documents. The system was fundamental for investigations, establishing methods that influenced data management until later technological advances. During the Palmer raids in 1919, Boston authorities seized political publications to contain left-wing groups, reflecting the anti-communist mood and high tension in the United States. This action marked a period of intense political pressure, deepening social divisions and limiting civil liberties after the war. Bette Davis, co-founder of the Hollywood Canteen in 1942, supported service members' morale during World War II by hosting events for soldiers at a recreational club in Hollywood. The effort lifted troop spirits and strengthened patriotic culture in the United States during a period of intense social and military mobilization. Bette Davis, one of the most iconic actresses of Hollywood's golden age, symbolized glamour and female strength during World War II. Her work at Warner Brothers advanced the role of women in film, portraying complex characters who challenged stereotypes and influenced popular culture. Albert Einstein, in 1944, was a professor in the United States, where he settled after leaving Germany under the government of the time. His academic presence strengthened modern physics, especially the theory of relativity, influencing scientific advances during and after World War II and shaping contemporary science. Margaret and Matilda Peters, nicknamed Pete and Repeat, stood out in college tennis in 1937 at Tuskegee University, opening the way for future black stars such as Venus and Serena Williams. Their partnership symbolized resilience, talent, and pioneering spirit in a restricted environment for African American athletes. A Korean mother becomes emotional as she reunites with her son, who returned after being held in North Korean territory, portraying the human impact of the Korean War in the 1950s. This moment symbolizes the hardships caused by the division of the peninsula and the deep consequences of the period for thousands of families. In 1950, institutional racial separation still dominated the southern United States, including the strict separation of public spaces in North Carolina. Local laws imposed racial categories, restricting access for black people and feeding social inequalities that would mobilize the civil rights movement. The Crow people of Montana, around 1900, symbolized the harsh forced transition faced by indigenous populations during United States expansion. The image shows the loss of their sacred lands and the struggle to preserve traditions against political and social pressures that changed their lives and territories. Awe-Ayu, known as Pretty Flower, was a woman of the Seneca Nation whose 1908 portrait reveals the preservation of indigenous identity and traditions in the early 20th century, a period of attempted cultural assimilation. Her image symbolizes resistance and respect for indigenous roots in the American context. D.S. Mitchell, a photographer active in the 1890s, recorded images of Indian Territory, now part of Oklahoma. His work documents indigenous populations and the environment before American occupation, offering a valuable look at traditional cultures amid social and territorial transformation. The cowboys of the XIT Ranch in the Texas Panhandle, photographed around 1902, symbolize the era of cattle expansion in the American West, marked by social and economic change. This ranch was one of the largest in the country, influencing the regional economy and the lifestyle of Texas cowboys. Deadwood, South Dakota, stood out in the late 19th century as a central point of the gold rush, attracting miners and adventurers in the United States. The wooden settlement represented the pioneer spirit, instability, and growth that marked the expansion of the American West and its legacy of territorial disputes. In the heart of Dodge City in 1872, the sale and repair of defense equipment reflected the need for protection in one of the best-known centers of the American Old West. This trade showed a tense environment where disputes among settlers, frontier figures, and law enforcement shaped the history of the western United States. The Grand Trunk Ferry crossed the Detroit River in winter around 1905, connecting the railway networks of Canada and the United States. This crossing made passenger and freight transport easier, supporting economic and industrial integration in the region during the expansion of railroads in North America. The horse-drawn streetcar line in Englewood, Colorado, in the early 20th century, shows urban transportation before rail electrification. The system used animal power to climb hills and was essential for local mobility, marking the transition between traditional methods and technological advances. Before the computer era, airline reservations were made manually with simple systems like the board, shown, recording flights and destinations in a physical space. This method shows the complexity and heavy work involved in air travel logistics in the mid-20th century, a crucial period for the expansion of international travel. In 1963, General Motors produced its 50 millionth vehicle at the Tarrytown factory in New York, a milestone that showed the growth of the North American automobile industry after the war. This achievement symbolized the automobile's place as a central part of modern life and mass consumption. The 1965 Corvette Mako Shark II left a mark on automotive design by anticipating technologies and shapes that influenced the next generation of sports cars. With aerodynamic lines and a futuristic look, it reflected the optimistic culture of the 1960s, highlighting American industry and the race for innovation and style. By 1972, Disneyland was already a landmark in American culture, attracting families with innovative rides in a magical setting. The park symbolized the expansion of the leisure industry in the United States, influencing global tourism and popularizing theme parks while strengthening Disney's role in imagination for all ages. The staircase designed by Leonardo da Vinci in 1516 shows his Renaissance genius by combining function and art. This work influenced interior architecture, using advanced engineering techniques to create durable and elegant structures, marking progress in the sculptural design of spaces. The multi-gym equipment from 1892 illustrates the growing value placed on physical conditioning in the Victorian era, when health and exercise practices began to be organized. This invention promoted fitness through machines, reflecting a social shift that anticipated modern fitness culture. The concept presents the human mind as the most dangerous animal on Earth, emphasizing its power for creation and destruction. In the 1950s and 1960s, this understanding grew with scientific advances and global conflicts, showing how thought can create progress or chaos in society. During World War I, in 1915, dogs accompanied soldiers on the French front, serving as messengers, guards, and a steady source of companionship in the difficult conflict. These animals played a crucial role by improving communication and troop morale, becoming strong symbols of loyalty and endurance. During World War II, campaigns such as Do Your Bit, Skate to Work Save Gas, encouraged Americans to save fuel by going to work on skates. This mobilization reflected the collective effort to support the war, reducing consumption of strategic resources and strengthening civilian unity. Benito Mussolini, leader of the Italian government, appears in 1937 enjoying a sled during the European winter. The scene reflects the cult of personal image promoted by official propaganda, which sought to display strength and control even in leisure, while his administration centralized political power in Italy. Benito Mussolini took part in the grain harvest in the Pontine Marshes in 1938, a symbolic act in a government campaign meant to value agriculture and promote self-sufficiency in Italy. The act reinforced his image as a man of the people and highlighted policies aimed at hardships faced by rural communities. Franz Justus Warkowski was a Catholic chaplain for the German armed forces during World War II, leading religious services for military personnel in France in 1943 during difficult times. His presence symbolized the government's effort to preserve morale among service members despite deep disagreements between the church and German authorities. Protesters in Chicago in the 1920s marched against the national ban that prevented the sale and consumption of certain drinks in the United States. This mobilization reflected frustration with the growth of illegal trade and violations, marking a period that ended when the measure was repealed in 1933. In the 1940s, swing became a symbol of cultural resistance during World War II, offering leisure and relief amid tension. This lively dance became an expression of youth identity, influencing fashion, music, and behavior, and leaving a lasting legacy in global popular culture. In 1976, Paul McCartney, Bob Dylan, their partners Linda and Sarah, Cher, and Greg Allman gathered informally, symbolizing the meeting of musical genres and styles. This interaction marked an important moment and highlighted collaboration in the evolution of pop culture, strengthening the music scene of the time. Bob Dylan and Johnny Cash, legends of American music, brought their styles together in 1969, representing the meeting of folk and country that marked a cultural turn in the 1960s. Their collaboration expanded musical and social boundaries, influencing generations and strengthening movements for change in the United States. Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman in 1974 became part of pop culture as they built their relationship at the beginning of their careers. Both stood out in American television and film, influencing generations with their charisma and talent. Their union symbolized a lasting partnership in the 1970s. A young Bill Clinton greets a president at a formal outdoor event, symbolizing the beginning of his political path in the 1960s and 1970s. This contact shows the early steps that would lead him to become governor of Arkansas and later President of the United States, marking a new generation of leadership. John F. Kennedy, a United States Senator, appears in 1958 beside his daughter Caroline, symbolizing a political leader with strong family appeal. This period came before his election to the presidency in 1960, marking the beginning of an influential path in American and world politics during the Cold War. Virginia Dale was an American film actress from the 1930s through the 1950s, a period when Hollywood was in its golden age. Known for roles in musicals and comedies, her career reflected the shift from silent films to sound films, influencing generations and strengthening the star system in the industry. Ann Sheridan, an emblematic Hollywood actress, established herself in the 1940s during the golden age of the studios. In 1946, behind the scenes at Warner Brothers, her image belonged to an industry that shaped global culture, influenced generations, and strengthened American cinema as a worldwide reference. Nancy Kovac was an American actress and model of the 1960s, known for her striking style and appearances in films and television programs. Her 1965 image reflects the look of the era, shaped by cultural changes that pushed new expressions of freedom and femininity in fashion and media. Tanya Mallet played Tilly Masterson in the 1964 film Goldfinger, a classic from the James Bond series that strengthened the spy genre in cinema. Her character, involved in a plot of revenge and intrigue, contributed to the success of a production that influenced pop culture and set standards for action and style. Dorothy Stratton, chosen as Miss Cosmos in the 1979 series Buck Rogers, became a true pop culture icon of the 1970s by combining beauty and charisma in an era marked by glamour and space fantasy. Her role reflected the growing fascination with science fiction on television and the futuristic culture of the time. American actress and model Adie Williams became a symbol of beauty and style in the 1970s, reflecting the pop culture of the era. Photographed in a London park on February 10, 1972, her image shows the international reach of entertainment careers and the influence of youth fashion on entertainment. Barry Manilow, the famous singer and songwriter, appears relaxing at home with his Beagle Bagel in 1975, a period when he was building his success in pop music. This moment reveals the calmer, more personal side of the artist in a decade marked by cultural and musical changes that brought him worldwide fame. Michael Madsen appears beside his sister Virginia and his mother Elaine in 1986 in a family moment from the 1980s. This personal record shows the actor's private side before fame, reflecting the importance of strong family ties and shared life experiences in shaping his future path in film. In 1971, a famous Hollywood couple drew attention by showing an exotic lion as a pet, revealing the fascination with symbols of power and luxury among the entertainment elite. The case shows the contrast between glamour and wild nature, raising questions about the relationship between humans and animals. In the 1990s, the popularity of video cassette recorders changed home entertainment by allowing families to record and watch television programs whenever they wanted. Devices like the Samsung video cassette recorder, shown here in the hands of a satisfied grandmother, changed cultural habits and expanded access to content. The bright sign reading Starbucks on Ice shows an early phase of Starbucks, highlighting experiments with cold drinks such as barley coffee, a practice that anticipated menu diversification. This innovation helped popularize coffee beyond traditional consumers and supported the brand's expansion. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, setting up Christmas window displays in Toronto stores reflected rising post-war consumption, as businesses increased efforts to attract shoppers during Christmas. This movement symbolized consumer culture and strengthened the holidays in the economy, influencing habits that still exist today. Andy Williams, an American singer and a television host, left a mark on popular culture in 1965 by bringing his family onto his live program, bringing audiences closer to the private world of performers on television. This helped popularize family programs and establish television as entertainment and social connection in the 1960s. The series F Troop, aired between 1965 and 1967, showed Laurie Sibold and Ken Berry in a fun satire of the American Old West, focusing on the comic daily life and mishaps of Fort Courage. It stood out for light humor and exaggerated characters, influencing comedies set after the Civil War in the United States. The beauty contest held in Wilson, North Carolina in June 1938 reflected the importance of the region's main agricultural crop. The event celebrated local production and the era's femininity, reinforcing community identity during the Great Depression when this activity was essential to the regional economy. In 1936, in Kaufman County, Texas, a landowner's daughter takes part in weighing cotton, symbolizing the importance of agriculture in the southern United States during the Great Depression. The activity highlights the social and economic relationships tied to cotton production, which was crucial to the local economy. A rural family poses in front of its cabin in West Virginia in 1900, showing the simple and self-sufficient daily life of mountain communities. The image symbolizes the cultural resilience of these communities in the face of industrialization, preserving traditions that shaped regional identity. Women working at a department store enjoy their lunch break around 1900, showing the growing presence of women in the urban workforce. This moment reflects industrialization and social changes that drove debates about women's rights and better working conditions. The 1950s marked a transformation in women's fashion, shown by the Saucony skirt and blazer set in 1957. The design redefined elegance and practicality, accompanying women who sought to assert their presence in professional spaces and reflecting advances in women's autonomy in work. Traditional clothing from the Azores, such as hooded capes and headscarves, is a remnant of older cultural practices in Portuguese island communities. These clothes symbolize rural daily life and preserved identity in the face of 20th century social changes, keeping a connection to local roots. In the 19th century, the manual transport of urban waste was common in cities, revealing very limited sanitary conditions and the lack of proper basic sanitation systems. This activity, often carried out by women, reflected social inequalities and major challenges faced by public health. Around 1850, metal medicine boxes like this were essential for storing and carrying pills and medicinal powders, reflecting advances in pharmacy organization. Their use helped standardize and improve safety in medication use, affecting medical practice and care at the time. The record shows a crowd in New York in 1939, during recovery after the Great Depression and before American involvement in World War II. Hats symbolized status and style, reflecting a society seeking normal life and sophistication amid global political and economic changes. In Konya, in the Italian Alps in 1959, the traditional practice of making hay was an essential part of the rural economy, helping secure survival during the harsh winter. This manual labor reflected ways of life that resisted urbanization, preserving agricultural knowledge and traditions in the face of modernization. In the late 19th century, African American women faced social and racial inequality, but sought education and cultural expression. The image of a black woman holding paper symbolizes the advance of literacy and self-determination during a period of segregation and limited rights in the United States. The 1931 photograph shows a woman wearing a cloche hat and long dress beside an old car numbered 124, reflecting the urban setting after the Industrial Revolution and the social changes of the time. The scene symbolizes women's presence in public life and the technological modernization that redefined traditional roles. In the 1950s, women's fashion reflected post-war society, marked by the return of glamour and polished style after difficult years. This photo shows two young women wearing stockings with garters, a symbol of female independence and changing traditional standards of femininity, valuing autonomy and personal expression. The family gathered around the radio in 1926 marks the rise of this medium as the main form of home communication and entertainment, changing life by allowing shared access to news, music, and cultural programs. This practice expanded the sense of community and the spread of information across distances. Workers at a textile factory in Eichsfeld, photographed by Martin Schmidt in 1965, show the good productive strength of the industrial sector in East Germany during the Cold War. This context highlights the importance of industry to the socialist economy and the role of factories in the country's development. In 1912, American football training used simple equipment such as suspended dummies to simulate tackles. At a time when the sport was beginning to professionalize in the United States, these methods influenced the evolution of defensive techniques and helped prepare athletes. Muhammad Ali, the leader who modernized Egypt in the 19th century, appears on a boat on the Nile River during a visit in 1964, symbolizing the legacy of his economic, military, and social reforms that broke with Ottoman control. His influence shaped Egyptian national identity and drove the country's development. A Red Army soldier in 1925 represents the consolidation of Soviet forces after the Russian Revolution of 1917 and the Civil War, reflecting the defense of the new communist order against internal and external threats. This military presence strengthened state control and Soviet power in the following decades. Elie Del Sardo stood out as a circus artist around 1910, appearing in a variety shows of the early 20th century. Working as a sideshow performer, she revealed the human and cultural diversity of the time, influencing the culture of traveling entertainment and the artistic and social scene. The record Dark Circus, captured by Schurstuk Andre, evokes the rural environment of the late 19th century or early 20th century, marked by social challenges and simple conditions in the countryside. Old protective objects indicate the precautions used in isolated communities, documenting limited resources and the rustic nature of the buildings.